mind of the child. She's titled the book as The Absorbent Mind. Very nice book. I was very interested because it speaks about how receptive the mind of the child is. Details and all that are too much details are there. That is of interest for somebody who is doing, some deep study of child psychology and all that, child development and all that. But for a common man, the understanding that we need to have is our child is very, very receptive. And the receptivity is very high on your actions, not on what you say. You might be giving a very, very good information, but if your face is grim at that time, the child doesn't take the information that you're giving. Instead, the child feels that you are very angry with him or her. They are very visual. And that is how they learn things. When you put a small child who doesn't know your language, child doesn't come with a language, right? The child comes just with receptivity, that's all. And the child is looking at you lying down. You go and stand there in front of the child. Padwa! You shout at the child. Immediately he or she will cry. Because that energy, that sound, that facial expression will intimidate the child, will make them feel very insecure. And they will register that. When the mother and father are shouting at each other, the child feels the pain of the mother because the child is so intimately connected with the mother. A small change in her breathing, a small change in her heartbeat, the child feels very, very closely. Even if they are in that room, one corner, both of them are shouting at each other. The mother's raising heart and her emotion immediately is felt by the child. So it associates high decibel sound with an insecure, painful experience. Parenting exposure begins even before conception, actually speaking. You read the Aitareya Upanishad, it says the first Garbhavasa of a jiva is inside the father. The father is pregnant for a period. That is why when Namakaranam is done, when the child is given a name by the father says, you and I are one and the same. But for the sake of social identification, I am giving you a name today. In truth, you and I are one and the same. This is the meaning of the mantra when the father gives name to the child. What happens is the child stays inside the father's body. That is the first Garbhavasa. And the first prasuti, first delivery happens when the father sows the seed, the sperm, into the fertile space of the mother's womb. The role of parenting begins even before conception actually happens. That is why during the period of pregnancy also, it has been observed in our tradition that the mother needs to be kept in a very, very good humor. They do the bangle ceremony. Even if you go to the West, they do the bathing ceremony. It's very, very famous. All girls, friends, everybody come and they bathe this lady who is pregnant. They make her feel very, very happy. They make her feel that she is taken care of. The idea is very simple. The parenting role begins there itself. Keeping the space convenient, pleasant. Like we are all sitting here. Imagine in this room, you got bags of spoiled food which is stinking, or there is a lot of noise coming from that corner, when music is continuously playing, and from here some vessels are being rattled continuously, how will you be able to sit here and enjoy this lecture? If for 1 hour you are coming here and you are expecting that this place has to be serene, imagine if there is so much of dirt, what will you do? You will go back. After some time you will get up, silently you will walk out. You will go and say, this Satyananda Yoga Center, they don't know even how to organize a program. The place is so dirty, I don't know what kind of awareness they have. Will you say or not? You will say. You are coming here only for 1 hour, mind you. You are not going to stay here for 9 months. Imagine how that jiva will feel for 9 months inside the womb of the mother, and before that inside the father. So parenting role begins much before. That's why we say a parenting workshop should not be conducted for parents, not even young parents. We always say a parenting workshop should be conducted for somebody who is a would-be, who is going to get married. It makes a lot of sense that this person keeps his body, his mind, his energy pure, empowered. Because whatever the person's body is, the male's body is, gets completely embedded into the sperm of that person. Whatever your body is, whatever weaknesses your body has, it might have picked up genetically. It might have come into your system because of your lifestyle. That gets transferred from the father to the baby, to the jiva, to the sperm. This is accepted scientifically also, but Shastra says even before the advent of science, the yogic scriptures talk about this. First thing I want to submit here is our tradition. The yogic tradition is full of wisdom. The whole world has understood this. The whole world has accepted this. A red carpet is spread for good quality yoga teachers. If I leave this job here explaining this to our people, and if I say I am ready to come, immediately there are thousands of organizations overseas which would like to completely adopt me, because the quality of inputs that I can give, or a teacher from such a tradition can give, is valued so highly. And this tradition says that even before conception takes place, a young adult should practice yoga and purify all the 5 dimensions of one's personality. We've got 5 dimensions. We've got a physical body. What today modern science talks about, what medicine talks about today, is just the human physical body. That is why psychosomatic disorders are not detectable up to a particular state. You feel uneasy inside, you go to a doctor, he does a scan and says there is nothing wrong. Again after 2 months, 3 months you go back, the doctor says there is nothing wrong. Again after 2-3 months you go back, he says just have some Gelusil or something like that, there is nothing wrong. Then suddenly one day it strikes to him that he has to do a scan of your intestine or something. After 1 year, then the person goes through the anal search. They insert a camera and check the whole thing, and then he says you got ulcer all over your intestines. Initially it was not visible. You ask him, sir, last month also I came, you said nothing is there. Appa onnum theriyala, ipa ellam theriyudhu. The disease manifestation takes place at different stages. In the same way, if you are able to strengthen yourself at those subtle stages, then your body becomes very, very healthy. And in a healthy body, the sperm that is generated out of a healthy body will have so much potency, and that is called as rethas. Shastra calls this sperm as rethas. It is the rethas through which you are going to give an asset which is invaluable, which cannot be purchased by money, which cannot be acquired by power, which cannot be got by any influence or contact you have. The rethas is there only in your body, and you only can do it. So young adults, young boys, 25, 30-year-olds who are going to get married, who just got married, who are going to have children in the next 1 or 2 years' time, should get an opportunity to learn yoga. Okay, Hemant. Okay, look here, lad. Here, lad. They cannot keep quiet. So if you tell a young person at the age of 25, 30, come and learn yoga, he says, are you mad? I have not become a sadhu. I don't want to become sannyasi. Or he says, I am not sick. Because nowadays we see so many programs in which they talk about this disease goes away with this yoga, this disease goes away with that yoga, that disease goes away with that yoga. Yoga is not a method of cure. Yoga is a method where you can strengthen your personality. And personality is not just the physical body. I don't know whether you've seen this Michael Madana Kamarajan, where there is one beam boy. He does not use this at all. If somebody is grown very big and is like a beam boy, what will you use that person for? Only shifting mirrors. You don't want to marry such a person, right? If your husband is like a beam boy, what do you say? You're very angry. You don't want that, right? How do you want your husband to be? You want him to be smart guy. In fact, you want him to be street smart, intelligent, capable, skilled. And the current education, unfortunately, does not cater to the development of the individual in his or her full sense. If you read the submission of Sir Lord Macaulay to his queen, you'll be shocked. It's now very famous, everybody might have read it at least once. He says, this country, he talks about India, he says this country is so rich, this country is full of people who are completely healthy, there is no sickness in this nation, there is no poverty in this country, these people are content, happy, satisfied lot. It is not possible for us to rule this nation, is what he says. And then he goes forward. Therefore, I propose that we have to install doubt in their mind about their system of yoga and about their system of health, which is Ayurveda. And he was very successful. I have to talk to you in English. I was reading the question and answer between Agnivesha and his guru in Charaka Samhita, where in Sharira Sthanam, there is a chapter called Sharira Sthanam, where there is a description of how a body is formed. Amazing. the sperm has specific locations in it which develops into specific organ of the body. There is a head portion, there is a neck portion, there is a spine portion, there is a hand portion, there is an intestine portion, there is a lung portion. It's everything is there like a seed in the sperm. If the father has excess wind in his body, and if the wind in his body has affected the reproductive system in that sperm, in the seed, if that reproductive system is affected by the wind, the child born becomes impotent. I'm just giving you, I do not want to get into the details of this. If you are interested, you can study Charaka Samhita, Sharira Sthanam. It talks about how transmigration of the soul takes place and how it reaches a parent and how it is born. Parenting role begins from there. So if I am seeing many of you are adults who might have young boys, who might have young girls, or you might have a nephew or a niece or a friend's son or a